Okay. Hello, Funny. How are
Hello,
you
Jewel.
doing?
Yeah, I'm great. And
Okay, so
a warm
as
welcome
the
to
winter
our
gets,
audience.
yeah, it was a really warm welcome to everybody. And it's quite chilly here. So has the winter hit you?
Oh, yes, it's chilly
Oh, it has.
everywhere, yes.
Of course.
But it's
My
good.
warm clothes, of course. Yeah, it is. Of course, it is good. And this is something that we all look forward to, the whole year through, and December being the month of, festive. Of course, there are other months as well where we celebrate festivals, but December is all about, the old coming to an end and bringing the new. So it's special. Well, talking about special, there's
Mhm.
saying there's make it a December to remember. Why? Because that's very special. And that's why today's topic is also very special. That doesn't mean that all the topics that we have shared in our previous videos are not special or any less special. But this one particular topic requires a lot of sensitivity, and this requires a bit deeper understanding and compassion, most importantly. And the reason for me to do this video is to spread awareness. Okay, it's not that you become an expert after you watch this video about the topic that we're going to discuss, but it will make you aware and you will know, okay, what you should be doing, what are the do's and what are the don'ts, and where you must, upgrade yourself in. So yes, so today our topic is all about the classroom, but you must be wondering, okay, so what's new about the classroom? And regular viewers who have already seen our videos and been watching our videos from the beginning, so they have seen videos that we did on classroom and classroom management. So what's new about that? Well, the whole new is that this is not just any classroom, but this is about inclusive classroom. So yes, inclusive, as the word suggests, you are including. So what are you including in this classroom? So let's begin.
All right, seems an exciting topic for our viewers and for me as well.
And very, and very important too. Right. So inclusive classroom, and here we begin. So what is it? Right. So if you see, you just look at the picture, viewers. Okay, what do you see in this picture? So you will see, oh, there are a few children, and there is a child who's sitting, a girl child who is sitting on a wheelchair. So what does this depict? So basically, it's an inclusive classroom is a general education classroom. Okay, however, there would be students with and without disabilities, and they're all together for joyful learning. So inclusion is all about all students' belongingness, and there is no discrimination, right? So inclusive classroom is what you will see now. Globally, that's what we are talking about. And in any part of the world you are, if you're a teacher, I'm sure you're already, or you must be working in an inclusive classroom. And if you're an aspiring teacher and you don't have any experience in working in a classroom, then this video will prove to be even more fruitful to you. However, teachers who have had an experience and still working in inclusive classrooms, I'm sure they would be able to relate to what I'm going to share today, as well as you can also leave your experiences and you can leave your valued comments, you know, in the comment section. And all the new viewers, if you're watching this video for the first time, then please do not forget to like uh, the video and subscribe to our channel, as well as you click onto the bell icon so that you don't miss out on any of our videos. And it will only help us to serve you better. So that's the beginning of an inclusive classroom, and that's what an inclusive classroom looks like. So now let's just go a bit deeper into it, okay? And as I have mentioned before, that it's really, really significant that in today's time, In a truly inclusive setting, so every child must feel safe, and they should be, they should, have a safe environment, and they must also feel belonging. So students and the parents, so what they do is they participate in this setting, in the setting and learning the goals, and take part in decisions which will help them in the long run. So that it gives them an experience for an effective learning. So the end of the day, when you walk out of the classroom, both for the teacher as well as for the student, should give them the feeling that the learning was effective, and the teacher must feel that, yes, they have met, or she or he has met the effective. The outcome was very effective. Now, how do you apply inclusive education in the classroom? So now we know that what inclusive classroom has to offer, and we have seen the larger picture. But then, how do you apply, the inclusive education? So in an inclusive classroom, see, the general education teachers and special education teachers, they work together to meet the needs of the students. So don't worry, you are not alone. So there would be another teacher who is a specialized teacher in special education, or maybe even a shadow teacher might be there with you in the classroom to give your students or meet the students' need almost by 100%. And this gives the special education students, the support that they need, and is absolutely imperative for them, as well as, both students with and without disabilities, they also learn more. What do they learn more? So the feeling of compassion, and when you're using different strategies, also by helping the other children, so they are learning even more effectively than they must have learned otherwise. Variety of instructional formats are used in the classroom. So yes, this is the USP. A lot of instructional formats are used in the classroom, and application of universal design for learning is implemented. So universal design for learning, and let me tell you, if this term is very new to you, don't be afraid of, there's nothing to be scared about. It's nothing so complicated. So universal design learning is all about where we come with the variety of approaches and techniques that will help to meet the different needs of each student. And every student is different. They might have a different cultural background. They might be having, let's say, um, speech impairment, or a difficulty in, seeing, like a vision difficulty. They may not be able to listen to you properly. It could be that they have some other issues. They might have a language problem. So these are all different things. Now, how do you meet the needs of all these different needs that you will experience in the classroom? And that's why the UDL, application of UDL or UDL strategies are designed specially. To discuss more about UDL, please keep tuned to this channel, because our next video soon, it's going to be on different instructional strategies, where we will be discussing about UDL as well as executive functioning and other instructional approaches. But as of now, let's just move ahead, that what else is expected, and how we should be dealing with inclusive classroom. So here in this, in this inclusive classroom, there are pillars. So pillars, like, we don't mean literally pillars, but these pillars, this 6 pillars are very important, and they are called the pillars of inclusion. So that's like access, attitudes, choice, partnerships, communications, and policy. All of these pillars are very self-explanatory. Access means students having an access to every knowledge that they have the right to access. Attitude, both the attitude of the facilitator, the students, the choice, the students should be given enough choice. Partnership, of course, that how partnership works. collaboration and communication, as in the clarity in communication. Of course, policy is like policy, especially if there are children with special need, there would be certain policies that you will have to abide by. And now, how can we promote inclusion? So you see, excellence in teaching and learning, right? So this is achievable, and this is only achievable when we ensure that educators have the proper training. You see, this is very important. Teachers should be really well trained from a recognized institution or a university. Their certification should be checked. They should, and when you're hiring the teachers, they must have, an institution must have a process where they can be absolutely sure that the teacher has a sound knowledge, and it's quite, let's say, effective in delivering what she or he is supposed to deliver. The flexibility and enough resources to teach the students. So that goes without saying, resources should be in abundance, all right? You cannot be rigid. And with diverse needs and with different learning styles, these three things, it has to be there, the right, in sync, to be precise, so that your day-to-day classroom is actually being executed in a smooth manner. And with this, you can also minimize the potential hazards, and you can even eliminate the potential hazards from this. So that's one. And the next thing is you have to promote a positive learning climate. And when I say positive learning climate, I mean children should find themselves in an environment which is not only safe for them, but they must feel secured emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually, and they must have a lot of encouragement. So an encouraging environment, not just from the teachers as well as the peers. Every children should be trained to encourage and motivate and praise one another. And last but not the least, encouraging in students' interactions. Now, by students' interaction, you mean you have to design your activities in such a way that every child gets an opportunity to buddy up or to be in a group and has worked with every child in the classroom. It shouldn't be that, at the end of the year, the child just realizes, oh, we've spent a whole year, but I never got an opportunity to play or to work or to do anything fun with you. So teachers should really, or a facilitator, directors, whatever you may call, should, take that proper precaution that every child or student is getting, enough opportunity to interact with one another. And now, what are the examples of inclusive education? I'm sure you would like to know, okay, we have heard enough, and that was quite a bit of explanation, but can you give us some, examples? Okay, here they are. So the first example, as you see, is peer tutoring and cooperative learning. Peer tutoring, easy, it's more like buddy, you budding up, and one student can help the other. And that what actually leads to cooperative learning, and that can be done in the group of 3 or 4 or 5 as well. You must remember that in a day-to-day curriculum, in your, let's say, in your flow of activities, keep the group activities more than individual activities. Then it is also important that there must be some independent practice, because at the whole time, if they're working in group, then it will not give a sufficient time to reflect on themselves. So independent practice, so you will have to also allot a time when they can go for independent practice, and that will allow for individual attention as well. Also the teacher, while they are working on their own, teacher can walk around and the teacher can have this one-on-one session. The other way of actually having this independent practice is also by station rotation. That's also a good practice. By station rotation, I mean you can have a station, like small station in your classroom, but the teacher will have to do a lot of quite a bit of task and preparation for it. And each of the stations will have variety of activities related to the same subject. And in one station, the teacher can wait, and that, by the time the students have done with all the station, because they will be rotating. So let's say each station, when the children are there, you cannot spend more than 15 minutes in each station. In one station, it can be a computer work. In other station, they might be doing something on art and craft. Another station, they might be reading on something. And another station, they might be, writing about their doubts or their experience. And finally, the station where the teacher is. So, each child comes, independently and has a word with the teacher and shares the experience. So that's one. The secondly is that you may have like 30 minutes session or a 20-minute session where they can work or reflect on their learning. So that calls for independent practice. Then UDL. So UDL, as I have already explained at the beginning of this video, that it's an approach to teaching, and it primarily focuses on the needs of every student in the classroom. Then differentiated instruction means a differentiated work. This is to meet students' needs, and teachers differentiate by modifying the content, process, and the product. So for example, if I'm teaching, math, and um, now my students are expected to actually do addition with 3-digit numbers. So what I do is, when I see that there are 3 or 4 children who are lots, which means they have the lower order thinking skills, or they have certain disability, they fall under special needs. So what I do is that what I'm going to do is I'm going to modify my content, and perhaps I will be tweaking it a bit. So yes, they will still be, doing that addition, but for them, there will be a lot of flexibility. Also, in case of assessment as well, like, so when everybody is expected to, solve, let's say, 5 additions, like, 5 sets of additions, for them, even if they're doing 2 sets of additions, 50% correctly, they're good to go. So you need to actually have this flexibility, and that absolutely depends on how the teacher frames and depends on your students' needs. And that's how you need to modify the content and the process, and finally the production. Yes, so these were some examples of inclusive education. And now it is about building an inclusive classroom. So you see, building an inclusive classroom, it really doesn't mean that getting all students in the same space and they will have to do the same things in the same manner. No, it's just all about that, that everyone in the classroom has to achieve the goal. That doesn't mean that the process has to be same for everybody. Everybody is different. So for example, let's say, if you want, if you wanted somebody to give, um, let's say, an extempore, but an extempore may not be, easy thing for all the children, and you want them to say spontaneously on the topic, let's say, my family. Now, a child who is not so very conversant and is struggling with words, so the teacher has to be, give the child a choice that, okay, you may even draw a picture, and if you want to present it musically, if there is a particular rhyme that which has the same context, you may say that. And you might even use a one word to describe your family. So as long as you know the student is meeting the goal, and not necessarily that the student needs to speak for 5 minutes. Okay, it's all fine. It's all good to go. All right. So that's what I mean is that they can all achieve the goal, but it doesn't have to be same for every student. All right. And we will also see one example here, like you see the previous example. So let's say that here, the example that I've used on the slide, that you've asked the students to find a photo that means something really special to them, all right? Now, with someone with a visual disability can always ask another peer to pick a photograph or to click a photograph and tell them about it, right? So with this knowledge, they can complete the activity. And now let's look into the second example. Okay. So in the second example also, you can give them an activity that go and find something, any object, and what you find so special about this object. So similarly here, the peer can also do the same for another student, okay? And they can all achieve the objective by sharing something meaningful for the class. So this can be done for the writing, let's say for the writing activity in the classroom, okay? And they can all actually help one another. So that's that. And there are like this, there are many examples, and you can also think of variety of examples. So if you see here, the visuals are also very important, and you see how happy all four of them are, and it really doesn't, nothing actually stops them from achieving the task through the activity. Everybody is doing the same task. So the learners with diverse needs are more engaged, and they're more social and inclusive classroom. And this is a true fact. And trust me, this also teaches the other students the concept of acceptance, belongingness, compassion, patience, and tolerance. All right. And yes, for students with special need, it gives them confidence. It makes them feel that they are no different. Okay, they are just as important as all the children are in the classroom. And building, inclusive classroom starts with understanding. Okay, it starts with the understanding of the diverse needs your students have. So that's first and foremost. As a teacher, you will need to recognize and identify it well. There, you just cannot actually, be miss out on anything. So you have to have all the needs absolutely in place. And if that means you have to have a meeting and discussion with the parents, the school principals, of course, everybody's included. It's just not that you will be taking the decision and you're the only person who is responsible. Definitely you are when it comes to execution, but school authorities are also involved to check if the policies, if everybody is following the policy, and time to time update to the parents, and parents also following up with the daily or whatever fortnightly or monthly reports that how things are progressing. So all that matters. Now, understanding the diverse needs your students that may have. So these are some examples, as I have also mentioned earlier. Someone with a visual disability, okay, may struggle, let's say, to identify the colors. And this is very common, very, very common, guys. So they have really, that's a vision difficulty, and you can't do anything about it. Maybe you can bring into awareness of the parents, and they can definitely go and seek a medical help. But in the classroom, you need to think of an approach where they must not struggle with this disability of theirs, and or should I say, this must not become an hindrance for them to uh, meet or achieve the objective of an activity. Some may have low vision and rely on assistive devices to help them. So assistive devices are very common and also available, like for example, glasses, magnifiers, and there are many, and hearing aids and whatever that's can help them the best. And some may be completely blind and rely on screen readers. So you see, the needs, the variety can actually go on. Okay. So once you know what are the needs your students have, how many types, it becomes easy for you to mold the lesson, the activities accordingly. So initially it might just seem to a lot of tasks, but then over a period of time, if you're doing it systematically, hey, I can assure you that there should not be any problem or any let's say, hindrances on your way. It should be a smooth process for you as well as for your learners. Now, understanding the diverse needs your students may have, once again, following with some more examples. So someone with hearing disability may have limited hearing, capacity, and rely on the assistive devices, and some could be just completely deaf and is only relying on sign language, or let's say text-based alternative to audio content. So these are just examples, but as I said, this particular video that we are presenting to you on this topic is just to bring your awareness into this matter, which is very sensitive, and it's everywhere. Okay, now let's look into some more needs. Physical disability is there, okay, and may not have control over, uh, can we just, Funny, can you just go to the previous slide, please? Thank you. So in the physical disability, they may not have control over the gross or fine motor muscles, and that's the reason they will have to use technology. And some of them might just happen to rely on alternative input devices to interact with the digital content. Okay, so that could be some cases as well. Some might have the cognitive disability, okay, disability in comprehension and understanding and fathoming. And to put it even easier manner is difficult in receiving the messages and difficult in processing the whole input and delivering. Uh, Some may be easily distracted and have very, very less attention span and have trouble with memory. Some may rely on assistive tools for reading comprehension. Okay, so as you see that, and now I'm sure you are now getting a larger picture that what kind of cases you might have to come across, and as a teacher you have to be ready to face them without panicking or without even losing hope or even thinking that, oh, I don't know how to go about it. So that is where a good training, a sound training, comes into a picture, right? And I always believe that classroom situations can never be 100%. That's all available in any teacher training courses or in any book. But you can face any amount of challenges which you may have never thought in your wildest of imagination. But that's what learning is all about, and real life experiences are the best teaching tools for you. So summing it up, building inclusive classrooms seems like a lot of extra work, and I don't deny that. It is a lot of work, okay? But the value is not in the completion, but in the thinking and in the execution. So remember that there is, as we say, it's a very common saying that there is no one size that's going to fit on all, fit all solution or give you all the solutions. So thinking inclusively is about setting up all your students for success. So yes, that is a lot of hard work, but I assure you that the outcome, if you are doing it, if you're executing it, the way it should be done, if there are enough planning going behind it, and if you're documenting it, if you're doing the right analysis, evaluation, and you're not procrastinating or you're not really overlooking anything, then the satisfaction is really huge. Not just for the facilitator, for the school, or for the parent, but the students, they feel that they are so much taken care of, and you actually sense the joy of learning. You see that happiness, with each baby steps when they take, and that small progress that they keep making, that smile on their face is what your final reward. for US. So thank you, everybody. So that is all about the inclusive classroom. And I hope now you are aware what inclusive classroom is all about. And of course, you can read more about this. You can find out more on the internet. There are more really amazing sites on it. There are more ideas. So go ahead and check them out. But my objective with this video was that you should know that okay, you have to be prepared for something big. And not to forget on that, we are coming up next on with our instruction approaches, one of which is in universal design learning, quite a new concept, but very important. Then about differentiated learning and how executive functioning, what they are all are. So globally, everybody's talking about it. High time, you also must gear up. Okay, so thank you, everybody. I hope that you found this video really beneficial. So please leave your valued comment, and thank you, Fanny, for your hard work and always, he's my the PPT PowerPoint person, okay? Always cruising the PowerPoint effortlessly so that I must not, or you be, it's more like for the viewer, so that you must not miss out on any important information which is there on the PPT. Yeah, so Funny, before we wind up, is there something that you would like to share with the viewers or with me? Is there any question on your mind
It's a
regarding
very,
this topic?
it was a very informative video for me. And I think all the new teachers like me would have benefited from this a lot.
Great. So is there something in particular that has actually, let's say, you felt that it was absolutely new and you had no clue or idea about? Was there any particular, any moment, in this video in regards to the content that you felt that, okay, this is for the first time that you are hearing something like this and you were not prepared for it, and you didn't even imagine that something like that would, even come
Oh,
up?
yes, the term UDL itself was very new, and
I
I
know
heard it for the first time.
you've been telling me about the UGL, pretty often now. But I want to ask in particularly about the inclusive classroom. Were there any, part where you felt that, wow, you never thought of it that way?
Oh, yes, including people with different kinds of disability in a single classroom and dealing with them is a very important skill every teacher should have. And that's what I felt very surprising and overwhelming about this video as well.
It is. That's what I said. It's a lot of task. Yes, I do agree with it, but it's really, it gives you a very satisfying feeling at the end of the day. And you know that, yes, you're doing something really constructive. It's not just about teaching, is no more about delivering a content or just teaching a subject. That's not teaching anymore. It's
Yes,
beyond, it's much more. Okay, it's shaping the mind, and you are helping them to, to build their own future. You're touching their hearts, you're shaping their minds, right? And basically you are creating the future, and also you are enhancing their potentials. You are helping them to, to actually get them introduced with their own hidden potential. And this becomes way more challenging when you're working with children with of all, for all type. And that is also another challenge where you will have to ensure that everybody is having the similar kind of sense of achievement. Okay.
that's great.
All right. Yeah,
So we'll be back with the next video soon, I hope.
absolutely. Yes, not hope, we will. Okay, so thank you, viewers. Thank you for joining with us. All right, and we'll see you soon again.